Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's time for a package from China where we're going to be doing a little bit of an extended video on this particular product. Because many of you were asking about the PlayStation 2 emulation, because this is maybe one of the first plug-and-play game sticks from China that actually have PlayStation 2 support. What is actually going on over here? So this particular product, I did a full review already on it, so I just wanted to focus on the PlayStation 2 part. I even need to do some configuration with the freaking controls, because the controls didn't work out of the box. Yeah, this thing was absolutely a hot mess, but it had a lot of potential. However, some people were actually asking me all the time, like, hey, can you make an update video about this plug and play? And let's play some PlayStation 2 games, so let's do that. We have seen a lot of different plug and play devices, but this is actually the first one that had like the option for playing PlayStation 2. And I understand that makes it really interesting. So let's see which controller I actually had. Okay, this is the one. So in the main review they did all kinds of testing. Testing of multiple systems, and I can tell you the overall performance was quite surprising. You should absolutely check out the full review on this product. But a lot of people were like really curious how good or actually how bad is the emulation performance of the freaking PlayStation 2. And that's what we're going to be testing out today, because I just wanted to see if we're going to be deep diving, is there anything actually going to be playable on this cheaper game stick. But yeah, there is actually a lot of stuff on here, what you can see. This is like not a super big list because of the size of the SD card. There was a 128 gigabyte, you also have a 256 gigabyte. But let's try a couple of games to see how the overall emulation is. The first thing I actually needed to do with this particular emulator when I was making the main review is figure out how to get the controls to work, because none of the controls were actually implemented, so we needed to go to the BIOS, mess around with a lot of stuff, but also when it comes to the controls over here, we needed to actually set up everything. But we did that, so we can just actually do that with the controller port number 1 over here. We added all the bindings. I didn't implement the controller 2 because it also hasn't been set, and the touchscreen we need to disable the on touch because there was another thing that was enabled. So yeah, that's actually what's going on when it comes to configuration. But let's get into the gaming and let's see how far it's going to be playable. Slow motion God of War. It's interesting. So moving on to the game Bully, it seems to be, even with the intro, do actually have something going on that is to a certain way playable. So, but of course it depends what kind of game you're going to be playing on this, but let's move into the gameplay. But the unfortunate part is when you're actually getting into the game, you're going to be seeing that the frames per second are not going to be great. And also this is going to be slow motion. So if you wonder, is there actually something that can be played? Let's move on to something else. But getting into the game, man, I can tell you, like even with some Burnout, it's going to be quite a challenge. Because you can see that it struggles to get this freaking game to run. But let's just quickly get into the game to see if we can have a racing and just fun overall experience. Because I can see the frames per second going everywhere with this game too. So why do I have this feeling that three-dimensional games will not run? Of course we have this annoying race trainer that I've seen a gazillion times, but that seems to be working fine. But let's get into the gaming later on. So let's cut it here, the video. But playing a little bit of Burnout, that's not going to be happening anytime soon. Because also this seems to be not running as it's supposed to be. So it's quite unfortunate. So when it comes to this game stick so far, none of the games are running quite well. So three-dimensional is absolutely out of the question. But let's see what's going on when it comes to playing just a simple two-dimensional game. Because this can maybe be an overall better experience. We have seen it before with different emulators in the past that we had actually a lot of two-dimensional games that were playable, but we're getting into something else that was not playable at all. So actually this is one of the less chances that we can actually test it out. So let's go And let's see what's going on. Let's grab a beautiful stage and let's see if this game is going to be playable to a certain level. Yeah, I think it's always like a little bit of a problem when they're going to be releasing a product that actually can play PlayStation 2, or at least they say it is, and it doesn't really work that way. And I'm getting used to it because I have seen it a lot, but hey, this looks promising. Ooh, the letters right up are going to be getting into the red. But this is overall promising because it's already better than all the other stuff that we've seen before. Ooh, but as we're getting into the game itself, again, this is not playable in any way. Oh man, so you know, it's quite unfortunate in the end. And even if you're going to be going through the game, it's getting even freaking worse. But when it comes to these, let's say, plug and play devices, it's quite unfortunate because if they're like using the right Ether SX2, and I know there are like all kinds of variations of it, but it can also be in combination of not the right software and of course the hardware that is not powerful enough. You can just see getting into the intro with the movies, everything seems to be working fine, but so far every single three-dimensional game we've tested out doesn't really work. There's not like a two-dimensional game on here, so there's nothing much we can actually do with that. Okay, he's stepping out of the car after watching the video. But as so with the previous games, we had like an overall, let's say, same good performance, but getting into the game, it started to freaking stutter like crazy. Well, let's see what's going on. Let's get into the game. I already seen the red letters in the right top corner. But so far, yeah. Well, this is really running way better than all the other stuff that we've checked out. This is not going to be the ultimate PlayStation 2 emulation performance that we want to have from a stick like this. Ooh, spooky. I don't know if I can actually shoot. How was this game actually? Oh, that's it. Alright. Let's do some zombies. Or something. There's somebody going. Come on. And there he goes. Ooh. Well, you can see the instability when it comes to playing the game itself. Sir? Yeah! It's a zombie! Woo. My idea was to make a very extended testing video of the PlayStation 2 on this game stick. However, every single game I'm putting up, we're getting really laggy overall performance. At this point, like, Resident Evil was actually the best one out there. However, this is not the way how you want to experience PlayStation 2. They promised something and they absolutely they did not deliver when it comes to, let's say, the performance. Let me know in the comments what you think. Check out the full review because this thing can do so much more. Consider subscribing, hit the little bell, and it will be great to see you in the next video.